So we are coming into a new election, of course. As soon as the U.S. midterm in 2018 ended, we started the cycle towards the 2020 U.S. presidential election. We have about 23 or 24 Democratic candidates going up against Donald Trump, the Republican incumbent. And of course, this holds true, this tweet here holds true for the 2020 election as well as 2018. And again, it goes back to media. So, as we approach election 2018 in America, or election 2020, we're seeing an uptick in a few categories. Media's job, in part, is to influence us, to lead us down a narrow pathway into what they want us to believe. Why? Interests that you and I may never be privy to. Vote your conscience. Or I say as well, vote in your best interest. Because it's not your responsibility to take care of other people. They have their own individual liberty, their own choices, their own mistakes, their own successes. And you and I have ours. So I don't like this idea of guilting people for their vote. I don't think it's right. Now, I voted for Jill Stein in Massachusetts in 2016. But the thing is, the people said, and of course it was a very deeply blue state, Hillary Clinton won like 62%, something like that, 63%. Trump got crushed in Massachusetts. But people were still saying, how could you do anything but vote for blue? Don't you know it's either blue or red? There's no other way to go. And in this state, they largely tell me, vote blue, only blue is allowed, unless you want to be socially ostracized. But I voted green, and my politics have changed a tiny bit since then. I don't think I would have voted libertarian, actually. I didn't really care for Gary Johnson. And Bill Weld is cool, but he's kind of an opportunist. So I voted for Jill Stein, and they got mad at me. So I say vote your conscience, and of course, if your conscience says, well, I want to take care of this group, and I believe that this political party that makes, otherism, using identity politics, they make otherism into a wedge issue. They try to say that one side supports, say, minorities and the other doesn't, but really it's an economic question. And Bernie Sanders has said that. It's not so much about racism. It's more about the economic situation. But media, their job is to influence us. So what happens when they just, they don't have any transparency and they get rid of certain media personalities from their social media platforms, like Paul Joseph Watson? Why did they get rid of Paul Joseph Watson, might you ask? Like, what did Paul do wrong? Well, he had an ideology that corporation did not like. He wasn't inciting violence. He wasn't libeling, slandering. He wasn't making credible threats. He sure as hell wasn't doxing. He wasn't doing anything outside of TOS. But of course, within the TOS, they use very subjective terms such as hate speech or, hateful conduct. Can't use certain words. You use that word, whether it's innocent, you hear it in every other Will Ferrell movie or what, they'll say, well, selectively, you're out. That is one way they influence us. They remove voices that contradict their narrative. And once you fall into an echo chamber where you're only hearing, exactly what certain media companies want you to, well, you start to get this confirmation that that is reality. That is the hard reality. And everything else is just complete insanity. For example, how can you like Trump? He's Hitler. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. And the reality is that that is how the media presents him. And of course, if you go to the right-wing side of things, like the Fox News and the Breitbarts, they paint an overly positive picture of him that might not be accurate, completely accurate either. It's not completely negative and it's not completely positive. But because of the polarization between the two sides, the center is getting smaller, as we know. For the past 10 years, the two sides have become more accentuated, the right and the left, and the center has become smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay? And that's not good. Okay? That makes the Overton window get all messed up. Now we have some extreme left-wing people, or right-wing people. This is the right on reverse, and left-wing people. And every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so people meet the needs presented by the influx on the other side. All right. So if the media is creating a narrative that's creating fear and making you act a certain way, they're saying, oh, the modern religion that is global warming will take over the world and kill everybody in 100 years, and you better vote for us. You better vote for the candidate we like, or else. We're not going to do anything. Mother Nature's going to do something. Okay, like that can create so much fear and so much, that can create the divide. Because you'll see one side believing it, and the other side doesn't believe it. And then this side will go, how can you not believe it? Don't you know how much harm you're causing? Don't you know how immoral you are? It creates division. It creates animosity. They don't even want to talk to the other side. And likewise with the right. They don't want to listen when you talk about economic issues because they have a system. They do, and it's a good system. It's called capitalism. Okay, as long as people get education and opportunity, doesn't matter who they are. All people can benefit under capitalism, but they need to have an opportunity. And the left knows that. They say, well, you need to offer free education. So the left has some good ideas that the right could listen to, and the right has some good ideas that the left could listen to. But this isn't happening when you censor off one side, no matter what platform it might be. You need to listen to both sides and come to a togetherness and a solution in the middle, a compromise. So I do encourage that. And if you don't diversify, there is strength in diversity. If you don't diversify your media sources, you will get only one side of the story. You will be caught in a tiny little echo chamber. And yeah, right will be right and wrong will be wrong. Things will be simplified and one-dimensional for you. But you won't be seeing the truth.